First discovered in 1598 by European sailors, the large, flightless dodo has since become a sort of byword for clumsiness and backwardness. But despite its reputation, the dodo bird adapted over millions of years of evolution for the tough environment of Mauritius. If anything doomed the dodo, it was an unfortunate victim of circumstance. After years of merciless hunting from humans and introduced species, the dodo went extinct by around 1688. Most of what we know about the dodo comes from contemporary accounts and modern studies of its anatomy. A few specimens were brought back to Europe, which inadvertently helped to preserve the bones and soft tissue for study. The dodo bird became quite popular all around the world after it appeared as a minor character in chapters 2 and 3 of Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. In the book, the dodo starts a kind of free-for-all race where everyone is a winner by design. It is believed that the character was a stand-in for Lewis Carroll himself. Even though the dodo acquired a reputation for clumsiness, studies of its anatomy suggest that it was actually capable of running at fast speeds. The origin of the word dodo is unclear. It might have come from the Dutch words for sluggard. The Dutch also referred to it as a wallowbird. Another potential source is the Portuguese word for crazy, fool, or simpleton. Regardless of its origin, the word dodo had already entered the English language by the early 1600s. When it was still alive, the dodo bird lived a solitary existence on the island habitat of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean about 500 miles directly east of Madagascar. At the time, Mauritius was heavily covered in forests, so it is very likely that the dodo was adapted for life around dense foliage. The island was completely uninhabited by the time European sailors arrived, so it is possible they were the first humans to ever catch sight of a dodo. Based on contemporary accounts, the dodo built its nest on the ground and surrounded it with grass. This also made them very vulnerable to feral mammals introduced to the island. Based on reconstructions of its anatomy, it becomes instantly clear that the dodo has a similarly large, plump body shape as the turkey or chicken. It also has long legs, curly tail feathers, bare yellow feet, strong claws, and a featherless head. The short, undeveloped wings were obviously too small to support the body in flight, but they may have been used to maintain balance at top speeds. The big hooked beak, which was gray near the face and yellow or green toward the rounded tip, may have played an important role in hunting prey or resolving conflicts with other dodos. Sailors gave conflicting facts about the dodo's color. At different times, they mentioned that it was black or gray. But this may have been no contradiction at all, since a modern study has revealed that the dodo most likely sported a brown-gray plumage, which became black while molting. This bird probably stood some 3 feet tall and weighed up to 50 pounds. The beak alone was some 9 inches long. Most of the dodo's unusual characteristics can be attributed to its isolation. With no known predators, the dodo gradually became bigger in size and lost its ability to fly. The rest of the body then adapted to compensate for the flightlessness. Although it could run rather quickly, this species had few particular defensive adaptations, either physical or behavioral, and nested right out in the open. This left it completely exposed and vulnerable upon the arrival of settlers. The dodo most likely ate fruits, nuts, seeds, and roots. It's also been suggested that they may have eaten crabs and other shellfish, but nothing about this has been definitely proven. Reports indicate that the dodos may have consumed stones and iron to ease digestion and grind up food. This unusual behavioral quirk is actually common among many animals. Until the arrival of people, these birds were almost completely free of predatory pressures of any kind. The isolation of its island habitat, which was too far out at sea to reach for predatory mammals and reptiles, was its main means of protection. It was also known to deliver a rather fearsome bite to anyone who wandered too close. This doesn't mean you should underrate the dodo's tenacity, however. Mauritius, by most accounts, was a tough place to live thanks to volcanic activity and frequent cyclones. Since this bird went extinct before the rise of modern scientific methods, very little is known about the reproductive habits of the dodo. Contemporary observers wrote that it would produce only a single egg at a time, probably because it was under no particular predatory stress to produce more. Based on studies of its bone structure, one scientific study suggests that the chicks most likely hatched in August and then grew very quickly. This is perhaps because the chicks needed to develop into adulthood before the cyclones arrived between November and March and battered the island. The cyclones most likely reduced the availability of fruits and other vegetation. Based on very rough estimates, the bird may have lived for more than 20 years in the wild.